Well, if you're anything like me, well, if you're anything like me, I feel sorry for you, to be honest. But if you're anything like me, I don't like wasting stuff, and I discovered this old envelope from, well, that'll be 4 years ago. We're in January 2024, last time I checked, and those cordyline seeds were collected at the end of the autumn of 2020. So that's yeah, that's kind of, well, I suppose 3 and a bit years old, 3 or 4 years old, something like that. And rather than chuck them out, I thought, let's give it a go, or give it a grow. So join me on this video where we investigate what's inside those seeds, have a guess as to whether they're viable, and get them sown into this lovely compost. So I started scraping away the kind of that husky white kind of coating on these seed pods, and I was very pleased to see that little bad boy in there. Can you see him? That little kind of shiny black thing? That looks very much like a viable seed. So I'm going to prise open a few of these and get some black seeds out, and as you'll know from previous videos, if you've been that bored and desperate that you've watched any more of my videos, you will see that in the past I've tried sowing some cordyline seeds without taking them out the husks, and I've sown some taking them out the husks, and they both seem to work. It's just that the ones out of the husks probably germinate a bit more quickly. So if you've got time on a winter's evening to go through and remove all the husks and save all those little black seeds, you might get quicker germination. Either way, it seems to work. So I'll do a bit of both this time because I haven't got much time. In case you're wondering how we collected and stored these seeds, so we collected the seeds, there we are, or more correctly the seed pods with the little black seeds inside. We collect them, well, I collect them as late as possible in the winter. You can normally see green seeds forming on the cordyline flowers through the summer and into the autumn, and then later into the autumn those green seeds swell up and start to turn white. And I've found, it's only my experience here in South Wales in the UK, that the longer you leave them, the better the germination seems to be, and the bigger the seed pods swell up, the pips. So I tend to leave them until about Christmas time, or until we get some really, really cold weather. If we get a nasty sharp frost, minus or below -1 or 2, if we get -3, -4 for a few nights, then I'll go and cut the seed heads down and start to take them off. These, if I remember correctly, we collected in the January of 2021, so they would have been from a flower in the summer of 2020. And then we just put them in that envelope. We kind of dried them off a little bit on some tissue paper, and then there's probably a couple of hundred in there still, and I've probably got about 50 out to get started with. To be honest, I didn't do anything special. We're in the school kind of outdoor classroom here, and there's our highly organised seed storage and cataloguing area. So various things that we've collected seeds from. So it's got really hot in the summer, it's got really cold in the winter. They don't really get well looked after, but it seems to work, keeping them dry and mostly frost free. It probably doesn't go below freezing in here very often, and as I say, 3+ years later, well, we're hoping they're still going to be viable. So we're going to go through and get some more of those little black seeds out of those larger kind of seed pods there, and then we'll show you how we sow them. Well, there we are. I've broken open, I don't know, about 20, maybe 25 of those pods, those pips, those fruits, whatever you want to call them. And inside you can see those little beauties, nice and shiny, normally getting 2, maybe 3 from each pip. And I've run out of time really. Rather than going through them all and getting all the seeds out, I'm going to sow some like that and then sow the rest still in their kind of pod casing, because I've got other work to do. I'm here in the school today and I'm going to sow some wisteria seeds next. So if you're interested in growing some Chinese wisteria from seed, have a look for that next video coming to a YouTube channel near you soon. Let's get these into the compost now. So take a deep breath. This is where a steady hand is required, or rather at least two hands, but when you're carrying a camera as well as the seeds, all you can do is hope that you've got a reasonably steady hand. And we're just going to start to scatter these all over that compost. Now this is a well-drained compost that we've kind of mixed up ourselves, taken a multi-purpose compost. To be honest with you, it's the old compost from our tomato pots, so it hasn't got much left in the way of nutrients in it. And then I've mixed in some sand and some grit into there, and a little bit of John Innes seed compost, soil-based seed compost, to make a really well-drained compost in there, because you don't want these seeds getting too wet. I'm just going to scatter those. I'm just kind of brushing lightly over the surface of the compost, which is just mixing them slightly into the surface of the compost there, as you can see. I'm going to get a few more pips out of the envelope a minute. Don't go away. Well, I've got more seeds than I realised. In fact, there's still more in that envelope, and if this works, we'll do some more next year. So I've scattered those over. I'm just going to rub them gently into the surface of that nice sandy, free draining soil. So there's some on the surface and there's some just underneath, and then I'm going to just, like some people would get a sieve, and if it was a finer seed than this, I might consider using a sieve. But this is already quite a fine compost, and these are quite large seeds, so we don't want that bit of wood there. So we're just going to lightly cover those seeds. Let's get some more now. There you go. So I needed two hands really to do that well. So I've just finished off scattering a little fine layer of compost. So they're only under a couple of millimeters of compost, maybe kind of quarter of an inch at the most. Maybe a few that are a bit lower than that. Not that deep. That's the key thing. And we've got those in a seed tray. So what I'm going to do now is take those out into our glass house. So come with me. Before we go in the greenhouse, just in case you're wondering what is a cordyline, what is this plant of which I speak? There we are. That's a cordyline. Cordyline Australis, and most of the seeds that we grow here will have been harvested from that tree, and you'll see that tree featured on several videos over the years. The last one I think was last summer, where we gave it a good old kind of tidy up, got the ladders out and cut off some dead leaves and some dead flowers from the kind of the top of that plant. And just over here we have some babies. So these are like the older brothers and sisters of these seeds that we're sowing today, and that is the big mama. It's a beautiful plant. I would call it a cordyline palm, and every time I call it a cordyline palm, I take a deep breath and wait for all the people to comment and correct me, because it's not really a palm tree. Thank you. If you're thinking, what's he doing calling it a palm tree? You're absolutely right. It's not really a palm tree, but to quote Shakespeare, what is a rose by any other name? It's known as a palm tree here in the UK because there aren't many true palm trees that we can grow in the UK, and we rather like the look of it. It's sometimes known as the Torbay palm, or the cabbage palm, Australian palm, New Zealand palm. Yeah, I know it's a kind of a grass, and I think it's in the asparagus family, but we like to call it a palm tree. So there. Anyway, so that's the mama, whatever you want to call it. And here is Here is our tray, and this greenhouse does not get very hot. It hasn't really got any kind of major heating. It's got this little kind of heater here that just basically warms this little pipe up, which only just about keeps the frost off. I think it's probably had a little bit of frost. I noticed some of those money plants over there, the crashula, have got a bit of frost damage on them. So it's not that hot, but it keeps the worst of the frost off. So we're going to give those guys a little drink just now. I always get a bit nervous with this watering can in case the sprinkler comes off the end, but hopefully not. There we are. So any excess water will drain through underneath there, so it doesn't get too wet. And we're just going to keep these, as I say, above freezing, and it will probably, over the next month or two, it's probably about 10-11 degrees in here at the moment, centigrade that is. And as we're doing this in late January, as we go through February and into March, it will start to creep up, and it will start to head up towards 15, 16, 17, 18 degrees in here. And normally it's around about the end of March, early April, that we see lots of they're like little kind of shoots of grass when they come up, as you would expect from something in the grass family. So hopefully we'll have some good news in about 2 months' time. If you want to give this a go, or if you've tried and you've had problems, we'd love to hear about it. We can see if either we can help, or one of our knowledgeable subscribers and people who read these watch these videos. Normally there's someone who can help. So any questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can also make comments and compliments if you like. That's also welcome. Enjoy your garden, whatever you do.